Hey guys, it's been a little bit. Oh, it's finally a gorgeous, gorgeous day outside, and even though I have laundry to do, dishes to do, and a house to clean up, my kiddo just went to bed, and I'm coming out to the garden. Figured you could come along. Let's have some fun. All right. So my leafies are still doing okay. I can't remember what this ground cover is called. I need to look it up. It's probably, most people are going to tell me that it's crazy invasive, and I understand that, but it's also really easy to make a hole to put seedlings in between, and it's very surface level. Oh, that's looking so good. My nasturtium is coming up. That's such a fun word to say, nasturtium. Anyways, all right. So, one of my tasks for the evening, I started earlier, then realized I have a camera, I should use it. I need to put up my cucumbers that are coming up slowly and help them to grow upwards with my pipe cleaner. Come here, my little prickly friends. That big kerplunk you may or may not have heard was a golfer who missed, and they definitely hit the tree and my house. It rolled off my house, and I'm gonna go get it and put it in the box of shame. Sneak peek at the rest of the garden while we go find our golf ball. Yes, I know, I need to mow. Oh, it went all the way over here. Miss Donna won't mind. Ooh, they almost got her tomato. She would have been getting down. The culprit.
What are y'all using, Callaway?
Thank you.
Welcome.
Grass trying to come through? No, thank you. Now this little dude's honestly struggling to hang on. I'm a little nervous about him, but we're gonna hope he has a chance. So our local high school is allowed to use our golf course when they have, I guess, somebody who owns property here who lets them be their guest. So that's who's playing, and part of the reason why the poor guys are kind of sucking. Bless them, they're trying really hard. I shouldn't say that. I could not even play on this course, so they are not sucking. They're just not doing. I should hear for a little more frequently these days, because I get a lot of golf balls when they come through at night, and I guess their instructors just came up behind them, and I felt a little bit judged as I'm doing my garden, because I'm a little unconventional. I get that, but it's kind of fun for me, and they probably weren't thinking anything negative, but in my head I'm like, hi, yes, I'm young and I garden like crazy. Hope you don't think I'm too weird. So anyways, something I was gonna show you. All right, so this little guy is actually a squash that I had in my kiddie pools, and I moved over here. Now, it's a small squash. It's a, oh gosh, I'll have to look and see exactly which one, but it's one of the white scallopy ones. So it's not going to be very large fruit, and I thought it might be fun to see if it could be vertically grown. So, even though he's just a little bitty guy, I'm going to very carefully, and I don't know how well you guys can see, but I do not really put a lot of pressure around them when I'm doing this. The nice part about the pipe cleaners is they are twisty, so I basically just cup the leaves, which helps when we have big storms like what we've been having, because if the wind blows them, instead of ripping them up, they tend to come loose. And I had that happen a lot the past couple weeks, so I've been pulling them up. But my hope is that by doing it this way, and you've noticed I put a little extra soil around the bottom after I do it, because it does pool a little. But my hope is that they'll start to grow up, and then I can utilize a little bit more of a vertical growing lifestyle for them. So we'll see. One little bitty baby one over here that's not doing so hot, I'm gonna go ahead and do the same with, mostly for consistency. I have a few holes from ones that didn't like it. So for all those little guys that were not quite the survivors, I put more seeds in, so I won't be giving up the space. The thing with things like cucumber and even squash, they don't love being transplanted. They prefer to be direct sown. This guy I'm barely doing, because I more just want to help him get off the ground. I don't want to risk pulling him. There we go. But anyways, they don't love being transplanted. And so, by putting out some direct sown seeds, hopefully they'll grow up instead that way. I actually threw out a bunch of different types of seeds this week when I was just out here piddling around, cleaning up some stuff. Like right now I'm pulling out some grass as I'm seeing it. As it pops its little head up, I'm getting rid of it. That is the one downside to the way I decided to do my beds this year. I wanted to do fast. And as any seasoned gardener knows, and should have known better, Kristen, fast is not always better. Because now I'm paying for it by doing more work in the end. That's okay. Sometimes that just means I get a little bit extra stuff to do out here. And I don't really mind that much. Guys, okay. Earlier today, I heard a really loud plunk. And like through the trees, everything, I was certain there was a golf ball. I looked everywhere for it. Could not find it. I just found it. Guys, look at that sucker. I mean, it like buried itself in my garden bed. That was from today, guys. That's my friend from today. And I know because I was looking at my little nasturtium yesterday, so it had to have been the one from this morning or this afternoon. Oh my gosh. Okay, I don't golf, and therefore I try not to judge those who do. However, if you are not solid enough in your sport to ensure that you're not going to be a danger to your neighbors, maybe you should go back to the practice range. Just throwing that out there. Because I guarantee you, if this had hit my kid, y'all, this mama would not have been so nice about it. I would have been angry. Can we play in our backyard while the golfers are out here? Because I'm a little nervous. But that being said, I try not to be too mean. I try to be fair. everybody's allowed to make mistakes. Now, speaking of mistakes, you want to see my basket of shame? This part always cracks me up. I started collecting the golf balls that ended up in my yard because it happens so often. And I always feel bad because I don't golf, so what am I going to do with all these golf balls that keep popping up in here? I'll tell you what I did. Introducing the basket of shame. And I call it that. I don't just say that to you guys. I call it the basket of shame to everybody. So whenever golfers come by and they knew their golf ball got lost somewhere around here, they always slow down right around back fence. And if I see it, like I did with the last group, and I see them coming, I'll just hand it to them, throw it to them, whatever you got to do. But if I don't see them, don't know who it's going to be, I'll just throw it in the basket of shame. And if they can't find theirs and I didn't see it, I tell them that they can go grab from the basket. I see golfers all the time who did not lose their golf ball that might take advantage of the basket of shame and just go grab one if they wanted it. One of the things besides my evening, I don't know if you guys caught that, but I totally just wiped myself in the face with my little pipe cleaner. One of the things I wanted to chat with you guys about tonight, oh yay, hammock life. In case you're wondering, this is my favorite part of my day, except for when I lay on my hair. I love in the evening when it's beautiful out, because it's a glorious day outside, sitting out in my hammock, looking out at my garden, making plans and dreaming. It's the best. Coming outside when it's this kind of like golden hour time and just kind of hanging out, listening to all the birds and everything and the ducks, because we have the little pond, and just thinking and dreaming and coming up with all my plans for this week, next week, this year. It's the best. I love just getting a chance to decompress, but also think. And there's something about this hour where everything's just possible. I could turn my entire backyard into a garden. Sure, that sounds like a great idea. And I think about all the things I'm going to make with all of the things I'm growing, and what else I could grow, and what spaces I'm not using, and what I want to do with the front. All these things pop into my head while I'm sitting out here and just kind of relaxing. And it's beautiful, and I love it. But I have things to talk to you about. Earlier this week, while I was piddling around in the garden beds and putting out a few more seeds, so like I said, I had some holes that I filled. I added a few more beans, more cucumbers, particularly the sour gherkin, the little bitties, because I'm really excited to try them. I think I'm going to love them. And if I end up hating them, well, I grew a bunch of them for no reason, but I tried. But I also feel like my little herb bed is pretty empty. And I know they're all going to grow up and get big and bushy, and it'll look more full. But I also noticed I didn't have a lot of basil. In fact, I don't think I have any basil in there right now. The seedlings I had, I didn't make it. Something happened. So I took my, lemon, lime, and holy basil seeds, and I just poured a bunch out in my hand, and I sprinkled them all throughout the beds. And it got a good watering last night, so I feel like that's hopefully going to be a good start, and I'm going to water them again in a second. What I was going to tell you. While I was mucking around and pulling out the grass, adding the seeds, and just kind of checking on things, I noticed something that made me a little nervous, and figured out probably why some of my little plants over there are not doing so hot. We have a ridiculous number of roly-polies, or pill bugs, if you're from another area. We call them roly-polies down here. Now, funny, I think roly-polies were always cute. I loved them as a kid. They're fun. They're a little weird. And when you call it roly-poly, it sounds like a cute, fun thing. When I call it a pill bug, I start to remember what they're actually capable of. They can decimate my plants. Not my friend. So, because of that, and ants and other issues that I've had, I started looking at things I can do to try to help. Now, the ants are a little bit trickier especially if you're trying to do anything organic. But I'm gonna get rid of them because I don't do ants. For the roly-poly pill bugs, coffee grounds, or just coffee, does a wonder for deterring them. They hate it. They don't like the smell. They don't like it at all. I am a big coffee drinker. I love me some coffee. But I had a pretty big container of coffee that was a little bit cheaper, and it's given me a headache before. So I thought, well, I'm never going to drink it. It's this giant container that I don't really want. So I took the big container and I sprinkled it throughout the beds, because if you find yourself with a pill bug, roly-poly infestation, like I said, it can decimate your plants. It can really mess up your garden. Now, funny, I haven't noticed it as much around my peppers and my tomatoes, my more established beds. It's an odd truth. Maybe it's because that's a little bit more direct sunlight. This side's a little bit more shaded. I have no idea. The end result is still the same. I gotta get rid of them. I sprinkled all the coffee around in there. I have diatomaceous earth that I'm going to use anyways. But I wasn't sure how well it would do on pill bugs because they have the harder shell, and their diatomaceous earth is really good for the other insects. It probably is just as fine on roly-polies. I just have no idea. So I tried the coffee grounds first, put that out today. Autumn helped. It was very cute. Luckily, she didn't get any coffee in her mouth because she'd be super hyped up. We're going to see how well it works. It's worth a shot. And I'm going to water everything really good. Get everything nice and happy before we have a few days of some pretty intense sun coming up. And we've just been really windy, and that dries up the surface level. You may notice as I'm going around, since I showed you, since my last video where I showed you guys everything that was planted, I've put out straw as a mulch over my peppers and my tomatoes. I chose straw because, one, it's easy, biodegrades, it will last for a hot minute, and it'll help with a little bit of the water retention, which I need, especially on that side in particular because of the sun. I have about 3/4, a bale left. I really probably could get another 2 and be perfectly happy, but I will probably I have 2 options. Spread it out a little bit more on the beds I already have it in, or around some of the other spots, or I will try to get at least either the peas or the cucumber area. Since I just planted some seeds, I was kind of holding off on doing that one. I'm leaning towards just putting what's left of the straw in like the kiddie pools and other areas to keep them nice, but we'll see. While the sun is still out and slowly going down, I'm going to water everything, and then I'm going to call it a night. So thanks for hanging out with me for this quick little bit and getting a kick out of the poor golfers that may or may not need a little more practice. Hopefully you guys don't see too many dive bombings. I try to record either early in the morning or late at night. I don't want to say late at night, in the evening. Golfers aren't normally out here, and I get some really interesting looks when people drive by sometimes. Not that honestly, it's kind of funny to me. Usually I have someone who just asks about what I'm doing, and I put the camera down and go from there. Oh, that reminds me. The other day, one of my friendly neighbors who came by asked, they stopped and bless their hearts. They're like, you look like you know what you're doing. Thank you for thinking that. It's just because it looks fancy. We'll see if anything grows. I think I actually made the comment, well, I hope so, but we're about to find out, because if nothing grows, then I did not know what I was doing. But she was asking, she lives a few houses down, super sweet, and her husband entertained Autumn while we were chatting. But she asked what grows well in the shade, because obviously 3 of my beds are more in a shaded area. And she said her daughter has been struggling to grow things because of the shade. So I told her, I was like, well, I'll tell you what I'm doing. I did a row of peas and beans and cucumbers and melons and an herb garden in the shade. The peas, the beans, and the cucumbers, melons. I kind of took a risk with those, truth be told. And I even threw out a couple tomato plants in there just because I had extra. But I took a bit of a risk because it is pretty shaded. And so I don't know how well they'll grow. Just gonna be completely honest. It does get really sunny and really hot. There is a good gap between the trees, so I feel like there's a chance, but they could be, I think they're a little stunted, they're a little delayed. We also haven't had temps just right for planting. It's kind of dipped and gone a little funky. But herbs, thyme, rosemary, basil, things like that, they'll do really well in my little shade here. Now, my chamomile's doing really well too. I don't know if that one probably would like a little bit more sun, but dill is another one. Dill and parsley. They're gonna do much better because it's shaded. And when I get a chance and I clean up that front garden area, a lot of what I'm gonna put up there is gonna be herb. Just because it is definitely more wooded and shaded. It will not get as much sun. So that was something I thought I would share. If you have a more shaded area, I'm going to encourage you to try it anyways for things like the peas and the cucumbers. Now, in states like Texas, it gets so hot that they're gonna appreciate some of the shade. Even my peppers, I took a bit of a risk in my pepper row because it doesn't get hardly any shade, especially in certain spots. It's a little bit of a risk, but I know that they like the heat. So you kind of have to balance what their needs are. So all that to be said, take a risk, take a chance. You might like it more than you think. I'm gonna get to watering, so I'll talk to you guys later. Y'all take care now. Bye.